What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast. Aggro and not Barracuda this week. Again, he's getting subbed out. It's inbound. It's Bobby. Bob, thanks for coming in and replacing Barra for this week. And this week alone, he'll never abandon us again, for sure. Otherwise, he hates us. And he wouldn't hate us, right?
No.
He wouldn't do that.
No. Well, not me. Can't really.
Right, that's true. He might not. Yeah, he could hate me for sure. I also wanted to say good morning because I just woke up from a little nap, and my plan is that I'm trying to flip my sleep schedule entirely. Bobby, we're driving to Pittsburgh on Saturday, and we're doing it overnight. When my kid, he usually goes to sleep around 8. And we want to put him in the car seat and drive for as long as possible while he's sleeping in the middle of the night. So I've gone to bed. I went to bed right after work. So I slept from like 5:30 to 7:30. I'm going to stay up all night. I'm going to go to work tomorrow, and I'm going to start work early, then go into the office and finish my work day like right after lunch. And then come home, sleep through the afternoon, and then wake up in the middle of the night, stay up to the middle of the night, and then it should be fixed.
Yeah, the entire time you were speaking, every word that came to my mind was, "This sounds terrible. Why? This
it's
sounds
gonna be fine,
horrible."
you know. Well, I don't know. I'm just like worried about like I'm someone who definitely gets sleepy while he drives if I'm sleepy. But I can, if I'm not sleepy, drive for a long time. And I just know that if I just try on Saturday to like sleep during the day without having like done anything beforehand, like I'm just going to be tired, and my wife is going to just be tired, and we're just going to be trading back and forth like 2-hour, drive sessions while taking your nap while you're not driving. I'm worried about it being dangerous, driving with a kid.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm trying to step up and take one for the team here by obliterating my sleep schedule. But even when I was super degenerate gamer mode, like in college and after, I've never had the opposite sleep schedule. That's never happened to me. Like
Never. Not even for like a week.
No. I would do I'd stay up till 4 or 5 and then sleep until like 2 or 3, but that's as bad as it ever got. I never had the full flipped sleep schedule. Did you? You're such a good sleep schedule guy.
Yeah, a couple times, and it was just like, and it was even before I made it like SEL. I got done with college, and I was just slamming ranked from 8 p.m. to like 4 a.m. And then the sun would start coming up. I'd be like, I haven't slept yet. I gotta go get some sleep quick. But I would still like wake up by like 2, 3.
Yeah.
So it was never that bad.
No, I was never
good.
on the like wake up at 6 p.m. gamer schedule. That has never happened to me.
That's a whole new level of degeneracy that I've never reached either.
And you know who I messaged to try and figure out how to do this? It was Snoopy, of course. I was like, Snoopy, listen.
That makes sense.
I've got to flip my sleep schedule. How do I do it? And he told me to do something totally different, but I couldn't really do it because I have to work tomorrow still. So, it was like, all right, well, I'm just going to make it up anyways. But
you could do what Solo did. If you just do a 16-hour stream,
that's not
you'll
physically
sleep after.
Possible for me. It's not. I physically don't think I could do it.
That's just something he does like every other day.
I don't understand. So. Have you ever done a 24-hour stream?
Not like awake the entire 24. I've done 16 hours, and then that's how I originally like broke my PC for a little bit, and I had to replace the RAM because I did a 24-hour, and then my PC overheated because as I was sleeping, and I woke up and it was just dead, and I was like, "What happened?" And it turns out I fried my RAM or something. I don't understand PC, so I don't even know what RAM does.
Sure.
But everything was warm, I think.
It was just a little too warm. That's really troll because like normally you would like do a big stream in order to raise money to fix your computer, but you had just done that.
Killed mine.
So you literally like couldn't.
Yeah.
That's really troll. So yeah, if I'm like out of it for this episode, it's because I just got my 2 hours of sleep for the rest of the night. And that's daunting.
And And if I'm sleepy, it's because this is when I get ready for bed.
Yeah, what time do you go to bed? I see your messages in the group chat like at like 6:30. That's so early.
Usually I try to like crawl into bed around 9 and then be asleep by like if I'm asleep by 10, I'm happy.
Wow, that is wild to me. That is.
Yeah.
Is that your normal rhythm? Would you say like your circadian rhythm? Does your body want that now?
I swear my body can do, as long as I'm consistent, I can do any time. I could do 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., whatever, just 8 hours consistently, and I'm good. Because I used to have like the 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., and I was fine.
Yep.
But now, it's just, as long as I'm consistent, I'm good.
That's impressive. My whole family, all of the men in my family are night owls. Like my body doesn't want to sleep until 3 a.m. even if I'm doing nothing all day, like at home where my computer isn't there. I'm not like up gaming. I literally will like have to sit on the couch because I just don't want to sleep yet.
Oh yeah.
And that's how all the men in my family are. So as much as my therapist hates when I say that, like I don't want to go to sleep too early because it doesn't feel right for me. Well, now I just don't have to sleep, so it'll be so easy, right? That's all it takes.
Yeah, is
just obliterating my sleep schedule. Okay, let's talk some SCC qualifiers, shall we? We had last weekend the EU side of things. We have our teams that qualified there. We are in the middle of NA, but we can just kind of do some previews. For EU, I will admit, for this segment, unfortunately, I have not been able to watch a whole lot recently. Been very busy trying to prep to get ready to go, and with work being very, very busy trying to get ready for year 11. It's been
sleeping
and sleeping, right? Which I won't. Like, I could go back and watch all these games tonight. I won't, but
that would keep you up. Actually,
really, EU. Wait, we should have had Mifflin come in. Like, that was Mifflin. Did you ever hear Miff's like iconic EU SCC rant that he did on our podcast last year?
I do not.
I have to go back and find it because I want to watch it. It was like he lost it. He was completely unhinged. It was so good. That missed opportunity. Very rarely do I want to hear Miff over you these days, though. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a rare occurrence.
No, yeah, for sure. But isn't it weird that every level of European SMITE compared to every level of NA SMITE was the exact same thing? Like EU SEL, they were all slow.
Yep.
Nothing happens.
Yep.
EU SCC, same thing. EU SPL, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then NA, it's like, wait, there's Invader's Curse. I'm still walking through this Invader's Curse to invade you. But even though we saw that with the EU SCC, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that much because you just look up to the players in your region, and you know a lot of players who are on the come up. They're going to be looking at how Zeros plays the game, and they're going to think Chronos mid is good. You're going to be if you're coming up in NA, you're going to be looking at what Aurora does on Hercules and think that's good. And it's also, as you know, a player. There might be a little baby awesome Jake in EU who wants to play these weird things in support, but if all four of your teammates think playing like the EU normal style is what you should do, you're going to get that beat out of you pretty quick.
For sure.
You need a majority that is okay with you doing the things you're doing, because team environment, even when you're on the like come up, like I feel like in my opinion, if you're playing in the open circuit and you're trying to get to the SCC, you should not be just straight up emulating what Hex Mambo do. Like,
nope.
If your team style is weird and eclectic and doing weird things, play it instead of playing what you see other people playing. You'll be able to learn how to play the normal stuff later. And I just think players are too. I mean, you see it in ranked. Like, no one wants to have like these weird picks, but I think they're just strictly better for the majority of the player base.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm pretty sure I swore I've heard you and Barrett talk about this before, where I don't know if it was last year or this year, but even lower SPL teams, 90% of the time, you are better playing whatever style that just flows best with you guys, whether it's a full damage soul laner. If you guys can win with that, and then like your jungler's building tank, you should just do that. Why are you following what these teams are doing that are just going to do it better than you when you could just find your own style?
Yep. And look, if you lose playing that style against an SPL team, you will get roasted by the casters, the chat, all that kind of stuff. By me, probably. But also, you gave yourself the better chance to win, and that's what matters. So send it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm all about. Okay, so for EU, let's talk about the top team. It is Hex Mambo. This is not the old Hex Mambo, though. This is Julio, Johnny, Rapio mid, Cozy, and Spudio on this team. Rapio mid stands out to me because, number one, that's a player that you and I are both very familiar with, going back to EU console days. But he was always a jungler. I don't really recall him playing mid ever
Never
in his stretch. It was also the classic, and I say this with love, not with judgment, retire from comp SMITE into qualify for Worlds true combo. Happens to every player at some point. But
hopefully I get that soon.
I didn't even know that he was still playing because he had said that he was done. And then I saw Coast tweet about him making it playing mid, and I was like, what? Like, I thought Rapio was done playing. But what did you see from Hex Mambo during this weekend of games? Give me like the kind of distilled rundown of what their play style is like.
Well, first off, they were strictly far and away the best team. It was not particularly close, but it was like a different style. The previous Johnny teams were let's go late and Johnny hits 20 on like Kali or some other hyper carry, and then Cozy engage, Johnny clean up the fight, and that's basically how it went. This phase, or at least at this tournament, Johnny was playing stuff like a Willix, and he was ganking at like level 2, level 3, making early plays. Spudio and Cozy were still dominating a lot of 2v2s. I think they're about as close to SPL level as like a 2v2 and like a duo lane as you can be without being like SPL. They played very well together. And surprisingly, Rapio was really good in mid. But I don't know if it's just they're as a team just so much better than all the other teams that you could have put season 10 aggro on that team and they would have been fine.
Doubtful. I was already washed by then.
He was playing like Thoth and playing gods that, well, I was going to say gods that require skill, but Thoth, you can miss half your abilities, and as long as you throw out enough, you're fine.
It's true.
But, I mean, he was positioning well, he was hitting abilities, and, I mean, he looked comfortable in mid, but this team was just far and away the best team.
Yeah, I mean, it does a lot for you. I could tell you from my playing days that when your jungler is just better than everyone else, like at that time El Leon was against teams like Bobby's, it just gives you a lot of confidence to not have to worry about hitting that much, because, and as we all know, the less you're worried about hitting as much as possible, the more likely you are to hit more. So playing with Johnny is usually an easy job, I imagine, but
yeah,
also, adapting. We've talked a lot about his play style. Johnny has a very similar play style. Those junglers are harder to play for because they sell you, because they're gonna get the kills more than most junglers will. I think Rapio, being a jungler, should have previously has that understanding of I'm good to get sold sometimes, because he was a jungler that was not trying to play the adapting Johnny cleanup play style and was more get in there, get a fight started. If I die, I die. And that's something that I always really respected about him as a player. And if he can keep that same mentality in mid without it going too far overboard, a la Captain Twig jumping in on Raijin every chance he gets, that can be really conducive to a winning formula. So excited to see what Hex Mambo do. We know Johnny is as good, if not better, than most junglers in the world, even at the SPL level. So this is a team that everyone is not going to be very excited to face, because Johnny could pentakill you at any point. Which is such a sick, like, Johnny is it. It's so good for Johnny to be in the SCC and not the SPL, because he's just like that wild card player that could go crazy at any point. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
as teams get more used to playing against him, he gets less successful at the SPL level, just based on what we saw when he was. in the SPL, but coming in out of nowhere, like it's like strikes fear in your heart as an enemy team, where in a way that like if you see him enough, I feel like it really doesn't, at least based on how he performed at the SPL level. So I don't know. I think that's funny to me.
I mean, when they played against us, it was like we spent. Well, let's say we spent an hour game planning for Mambo. When we played against them, we probably spent 45 minutes just talking about Johnny and what we wanted to ban from Johnny and give Johnny. And then like 15 minutes was left for like the rest of the players because it was just so much towards Johnny.
Yeah, he is transformative in that way, which is very, very cool. So excited to see what they do. The last spot came down to the Solar Scarabs and the Niflheim Wargs. The Solar Scarabs, this team, Deathwalker, Apriel, Zeros, Eye Silenced, and Echrome. And then the Wargs are Panvitch, Worst Turtle, Gunter, Preds, and Davey, with Sarpei as the coach. A lot of old Xbox names, or console names, I should say, on that side. This Scarabs team, I did watch a little bit of one of their games. Seemed like a pretty typical Zeros SMITE team to me. Wanted to take their games a little bit later. What was the difference between these two teams and the Scarabs and Wargs, and what let the Scarabs get that edge to be the second team to qualify?
To not like make it too hyperbolic, I think if Johnny didn't play in this tournament, I think Apriel was far and away the next best player with what he was able to do. I think the engages he was finding, the ability to toe the line of like getting as much damage out in fights and not dying or not taking too much damage, the ability he had to toe that line was pretty insane. And I think a lot of the difference between them and the Wargs was just the jungle play. I don't think Worst played bad by any means, but I just think outright Apriel diffed him so hard. And beyond that, I mean, Gunter and Zeros, I don't think there was anything that stuck out between those two. I think Panvitch was fine. I do think Deathwalker played a little bit better than him. And then I think the duo lanes were fine, but I really think a lot of it just came down to how Deathwalker and how Apriel mostly played a lot of these team fights.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website. His last 4 score lines available on the website for Apriel: 13-3-6 on Susano, 6-0-4 on Mercury, 5-0-2 on Mercury, 8-0-2 on Hunbats. So across his last 4 games, he died 3 times, all in the same game, and also racked up 19, 32 kills. He went 32, 3, and 14 over his last 4. That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
That seems pretty good to me. His name does not immediately... Like, I do not recognize his name immediately. I think he played SCC last year as well. Is that correct? That sounds right to me.
I'm actually not sure, because I didn't hear of his name either until just this tournament, or just like this phase, I guess. But I mean, I'm going to remember his name now.
Yeah, I think everyone will, which is going to be fun. Excited to see what he's going to be able to do on LAN. I'd assume this is going to be his first LAN, based on neither of us being super familiar with his game. So that should be a good time. So it's the Scarabs and Hex Mambo coming out of EU. Of those two teams, I mean, Hex Mambo sounds like they clearly had an easier time and looked better generally, but overall, I guess, how well do you think the EU SCC representatives will stack up against the NA teams and the lower end SPL teams? Like, do you think that it's somewhat likely that an EU SCC team, either one of these two, end up actually going to the quarterfinals at Worlds?
When we talked about this last week, we were both pretty comfortable saying that we weren't too confident in bottom 4 SPL. Like,
it's true.
Nothing about bottom 4 SPL was sticking out to us. We're like, yeah, maybe they didn't play great, but we're still pretty comfortable that they're getting through. This Mambo team kind of gives me like the same vibes as last year, where I don't think any of those SPL teams will be able to match up into them. I think Mambo specifically have a really good chance of making it through, and I think even the Scarabs have a fighting chance of making it through, unless maybe like a meta shift. Because I think a big difference between the top 4 and the bottom 4 was the top 4 used the mages a lot better, and if the mages aren't as good and you can actually play warriors, I think that helps the SPL teams a lot more.
Yep.
But if the meta stays at least somewhat the same, or a lot of mages, maybe a warrior here or there like Amma or Wukong, I think that for sure Mambo have a good chance. I'm a little iffy with the Scarabs because I think Deathwalker teams always kind of have that risk of trying to go too late and never doing anything early game.
Yep.
And there's a chance if they run into even like the Gladiators or the Hounds that they just play so much better early game that the game can't be came back from.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's always a potential risk. You mentioned the meta real quick, and I did want to call to attention some stats put out by a friend of the podcast, Innocent Rabbit.
Oh, you love this.
AKA Max. I love how excited Max is about these tweets, but I did think that the second tweet that he put out was particularly interesting. Just talking, it's a very, very small sample size of mages in solo versus warriors in solo, all that kind of stuff. But I think that there is a reasonable chance that it does actually shift the meta a little bit off of 10-13. The one that interested me the most, Max took a screenshot of the last patch 10.12 mages versus warriors in solo. And in those matchups, mages won 54.77% of the time, which is very high in a scenario like that. The data very clearly showed that mages into warriors specifically were very strong. This patch, again, very, very small sample size, as the patch only went live on Tuesday, but warriors actually winning that head-to-head 50.4% of the time. So even if it does skew back towards mage heavy and end up being mage favored, there's almost no world, it looks like statistically, where it trends back to that 54% for mages, nearly 55%. So it seems like the solo lane meta should be at least somewhat different. Is that the sense that you're getting as well, kind of playing this patch and talking to teams?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit different. I do think mages, at least the relevant ones in solo lane, will still have viability, especially because like the flex potential. And if you get into a good warrior matchup, I think there's no reason to not play them. Mm-hmm. But there's just, I mean, it's just outright easier to kill mages now. They don't have the that combination of items that mages had last patch was insane. The stats that they got across the board. But the current one, if it changes into like something that Alec tweeted, the Final K tweet with like Conduit, Soul Gem, like, yeah, they do slightly more damage, but their survivability is in the dirt, and assassins can actually just 1v1 them and kill them easily now. So I think it'll sway close to like 50-50, but I would not be surprised if warriors do see a lot more play than they did. But and also just to talk about it, because 5% doesn't sound like a lot when you say that number, but when you say 5% less wins for mages from last patch to this patch, that's like out of 100,000 games, 5,000 more games going the way of the warriors instead of the mages. Like, that is an insane amount.
Yeah, I mean,
it is insane.
When we talk about characters who need nerfs, you know, if they're at 52% and we nerf them and they go to 49.8%, we're like, oh wow, we probably over nerfed them.
Yeah,
you know, a 1%, 1.5% difference is usually about what we expect for, you know, the average change. Sometimes even less than that. Sometimes more, but to see a 5% difference is intense. Even again, with the understanding there's a small sample size, and it could certainly change. People are definitely playing more warriors right now because they're trying them out again, and they might end up being not quite as good as their current pick rate suggests because of that. But also, if they're winning significant, I mean, at the end of the day, they're winning significantly more of those matchups, so the perception will reflect that eventually, right? That it won't, I think that if the perception I'd be very surprised if the perception continued to be warriors are completely unplayable into mages, because they might not be better into mage, like better than playing a mage in a mage warrior matchup, but they're certainly significantly better than they were. is what I'd pull from this data so far, even if they aren't outright better. So hopefully they are better, and we can see some Warriors at Worlds, as we all want. But I think we definitely will see some amount of mages. But maybe that is enough of a meta shift for some of these SPL teams to, turn it around and exert their dominance as they would typically do at a tournament like this. All right, before we move on to NA, got to let you know about one of this week's sponsors. It's Factor. During this bustling holiday season, where you might be staying up all night like I am, you might be looking for nutritious, flavorful meals to fuel you on jam-packed days and or throughout the night. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all your holiday to-dos. Here's the big thing, is that you can cross meal prepping off your list this holiday with Factor. Meal prepping as a thought fills me with existential dread. I can't do it. It means that I'm going to be eating less healthy, spending more money, all that kind of stuff. Factor can help with that because I don't have to worry about doing something like meal prepping, which seems like the most soul-sucking thing in existence, in my opinion. Plus, you get to choose from 35-plus chef-crafted meals every week that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences, whether it's Calorie Smart, Vegan and Veggie, Protein Plus, or any of their other more wholesome options where they're very nice to you when you order. You get to do things like looking for calorie-conscious meals over the holidays that don't skimp on flavor. You can try their delicious dietitian-approved Calorie Smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving, which is obviously very, very nice. We like it quite a bit. So this December, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Plus, they offset 100% of their delivery emissions and source 100% renewable electricity from their production sites and offices. So it's a sustainable choice as well, which we love around here. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered straight to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/backliners50 and use code backliners50 to get 50% off. That's code backliners50 at factormeals.com/backliners50 to get 50% off. Big shout out to Factor Meals on that one. All right, let's talk NA here, Bobby. It just got started. We had the first week of first day of SCC games today. But I want to talk more about just what we're predicting here for these teams. The best team in NA, I think, just based on their roster, would almost certainly be considered the Valhalla Valkyries. This is Aquarius, Sam for Soccer, Crimson, Gamma, Wowie. Full expectation that this team is going to make it through. Just too much SPL level experience, too much SPL level talent. I can't imagine that they're going to do anything but look very strong in this tournament.
Yeah, I think it is a comfortable answer to say that that team is one of the two teams guaranteed. It's kind of like saying on the opposite side, the Mambo from EU, or just a pretty comfortable answer. When you compare them also to, like, it was either this season or last season, there was a little bit of a switch up with SCC where it was less of those older players that were SPL that just didn't want to play SPL anymore, or just didn't have the time, or whatever, they were doing something else, where a lot of the SCC teams currently are more like up-and-comer teams.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience that the Valks have over 90% of the teams that they're competing against is just, it's I can't think of the word.
Insurmountable?
It's insurmountable. Yeah, I was going to say inconsequential, but that wasn't it. But yeah, it's insurmountable, the experience that they have compared to a lot of these other teams.
Yeah.
Like, the only other team that really has a lot of experience is the Scorpions. And even then, it's the Twins, Gino and Relentless and Guy J, and then Miggy and Baroneri, which is, yeah, they played, but I mean, these guys have like SPL, a lot of time in SPL, where the other guys just have like a little bit. Right. And then most of the other teams are either hard SEC players, or maybe they're coming up from SCL, maybe they're coming up from SOC. So, and especially with like the pressure in tournaments like this, like you can't count out the experience.
No, you really cannot. I'd be very surprised if the Valkyries didn't look dominant during this tournament for sure. They also went 5-0 in the latest phase, so pretty good indicator that they're going to do well. The Tyrian Weavers were the 4-1 team. This team is Remikami, Layers, Tripno, Promise, Inmaizen, and Hydrogen. This team, on paper, feels like the Layers carry project. Layers obviously has that type of potential. Historically, he has been a big difference maker in the jungle, but when your team is centered around one player, I think a lot of times, especially just the jungler, it does become a little bit easier to game plan against you. But their 4-1 record indicates that they're gonna do pretty well, even with players coming in, going in with the idea of trying to shut down Layers. What have you seen from the Weavers so far this year?
Well, I mean, just this recent game against them, because they were, I think, the second set today. They actually dropped a game to one of the SOC teams, which was a little surprising, to say the least. The SOC team being Oblivion, which is Dashboard, Joshi, Main Jisoo, Manda Warrior, and Rundus.
Mm-hmm.
So, not to discredit Oblivion and taking away, but I do think, even if they're 4-1, dropping a game against an SOC team, yes, it happens sometimes, but that's not how you really want to start a tournament. Like, those are supposed to be like your warm-up, easy 2-0, get like a good mental with you and start like getting ready to tackle the rest of the tournament.
Yep.
So it is a little surprising seeing them even drop one.
Yeah. I definitely agree. It's not a good confidence builder, and I do think that we've seen a lot of teams lose confidence at times. In these types of tournaments, and then all of a sudden they end up not winning when they should, or something like that. I definitely would be a little bit concerned if I were a Reavers fan, but Layers is also just one of the best players in the tournament, right? And you're never going to feel that bad if you have one of the best players in the tournament, because they can just make a difference. Inmaizen's been around long enough. Promise has been around for a while now. Tripno's been around. Remikami's been around. So I would still expect the Weavers to do ultimately pretty well, but not a great start for them, it sounds like. NA seems to be pretty top-heavy here, Bobby. I'm looking at the standings, and it's the Valkyries 5-0, the Weavers 4-1, then the Kalen Wardens and the Athenian Sages at 2-3 each, and then the Jabala Storm and Aru Scorpions at 1-4. I'm going to assume the 1-4 teams don't have a lot of potential to break out here unless you're telling me otherwise. So we can kind of focus on the 2 and 3 teams as the potential ones to take advantage of some lack of presence from the Weavers, would be our guess. And that's the Kalen Wardens, which is Delny, Slash, Nog, El Leon, and Tuba. And then the Athenian Sages, Snatty, Grave, Nehu, Evermed, and Donut Doug. Let's start with the Wardens here. What is some of the things that stand out to you when you look at the Wardens? Again, Delny, Slash, Nog, El Leon, and Tuba.
Nog is an incredible player. Like, he is, just from the games today, which is, I mean, it's a very small sample size. Just from the games today, I think he was the best player that I watched. Did you remember ever watching like Paul in was it just called minor league back then? But ever watching Paul in like minor league?
Yeah.
Where he just looked outright better than anyone else. And if somebody tried to dive him, he just outplayed them easily. And it didn't look like he was even putting much effort into it.
Yeah.
That's like the same feeling I get when I watch Nog, where he just is a step above people that he plays against. And I mean, not to take away anything from the Scorpions, I don't think they played particularly well today, but they're still really good players. And he just looked better than they did. Outside of that, I think their side lanes are very inconsistent. I think both Delny and Tuba are pretty, I don't want to say coin flip players, because I don't think that's fair, but I think that they are rarely going to pop off. And I think some games they are just not like in the game. They're not making a big impact. So I do think a lot of it relies on Nog. And I also think it's always good to have in a tournament like this somebody that will speak even if you're losing, and which I mean, El Leon, through his entire SMITE career, has been considered one of the best like leaders and communicators in the game. So having that just as a just in case, if you start falling behind or whatever, I think that is something that you can't really count out. So I think this Wardens team has a little something, and especially what we saw with the Weavers today, I think like eyes on the Wardens a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be looking out for how Nog is playing after hearing that. I do see one immediate problem with his gameplay as I went and checked a VOD real quick, and that's that he puts his...
Is it a starter?
Yeah, he puts a starter in the second slot.
Yeah, yeah, that's bad.
Actually illegal, in my opinion. I'm not going to lie, I have at one point asked, can we automatically make your starter your first item?
I thought you were going to say something like lower your power by 10% if your starter's not in the first
slot.
I
don't even want to give you the option. Like, if you buy a starter item, it just goes to your first. They told me, no, that's so much work for no reason whatsoever. And I said, but
there's a reason, though.
Yeah,
there's for sure a reason.
I wanted to get your thoughts on El Leon's support. Because, he's jumped around and played a couple positions in his career. Obviously, best known as a jungler. He played mid for a little bit. Once upon a time, he played solo on Xbox whenever Weekend joined our team. That was the 53rd time we kicked Uzi, I think. And then the 54th time when we brought him back. What do you think about El Leon and support? This is not the first time he's played it, but just like, I mean, you're very familiar with his game, playing against him on Xbox for a long time, all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about him when he's playing support?
But I don't want this to sound like I'm taking anything away from him.
Sure.
But he plays the exact same style that like me and iRaffer played, where it was uber aggressive, get fights started. I'm going to calm what I'm doing and you will listen. And if we don't hit our abilities, I'm going to die. Because that's just kind of what he does. And when they are hitting their abilities and the fights are going well, it looks so smooth. But when sometimes he's a little aggressive sometimes. He has the same problems that I had. He's a little aggressive sometimes. He ints a little bit. But I think it is always a good thing to have somebody that is willing to die. And he is happily willing to die in 99% of scenarios. And I think that's really good.
Yep, I will agree with that. Got to have people who are willing to die. We've talked about that a lot on the show. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so stuck in like the old ways of just how I played with him when he was my jungler. But I just feel like in an ideal world, Andy can play his best smite in jungle.
Oh, for sure. I agree. I think he's a better jungler than a support.
He has a higher top end, but a lot of what he does, being a good communicator, wanting to control the team pace, all that kind of stuff, a lot of that stuff works well from support. So, I mean, I think that he definitely can make a lot of plays over there, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of laugh to myself every time I think about him playing support, but it was so long ago that we played together, literally like 8 years ago, which is so insane to think about.
Wow.
But Andy from 7-8 years ago, that guy's not playing support, bro. No chance. He's not giving up that much farm. He's not giving you that much farm for sure. But he's obviously gotten a lot more mature about those types of things and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder what Chach thinks when he sees Andy playing support. That's what I want to watch a game of Andy playing support with Bro Chacho next to me and just hear what his thought process is, because I'm sure he would.
That'd be good.
That would be pure content for sure. I'm surprised not to hear more of any type of discussion about Tuba ADC here, Bobby. I mean, I thought, it'd be like, oh, the Wardens could win, but they've got Tuba, like you're gonna get to late game and then you've got Tuba, like all that kind of stuff. But you kept it pretty professional. I'm impressed.
Well, I did say like the side lanes, like he's never gonna pop off. He's usually just like there kind of. His job, he has the easiest job in the world. All he has to do is just play good enough that the team needs to kill him so that Nog can carry. If he can do that, like, good job, Tuba, you did it.
That's basically what my job was when we had Keegs on our team, to be fair. Like, I didn't have to do that much. It was just keep Andy from inting and make them have to kill me.
That was probably harder.
That was absolutely the hardest part of my job at any given point. without a doubt. Yeah, it actually wasn't close. That I've long said that's what Andy needs, is that we took a big leap whenever I was able to be like, listen, man, I'll let you call whatever you want to call, and I'm not gonna like say anything except for no. But when I say no, we listen. And I didn't make any proactive calls. I was just kind of the kill switch, so to speak. And I think we took a really big leap whenever Andy in particular really bought into that. But he was, again, a long time ago, the type of player that he needed to respect that player a lot in order to do that. And I've said a lot that after I left, I feel like he just never really had that player with him that they vibed well enough and they had enough trust between one another to, because you can't be the kill switch and be scared. You know what I mean? Like nope. that was something that I really had to learn, was that I have to let him get all the way, use all of the leash. I can't call it off if it's only, it makes me a little uncomfortable. I can't call it off. It's got to be only if I know instantly, like, this can't be how we play it. And that, I know nothing about Nog as a player, but if he's as good as advertised, then Andy's going to respect him instantly. And that's really all he needs, in my opinion, is just that player who's there to really just call off the really bad plays and trust him to make the other plays. So we'll see.
Cuba says that Nog and him will make calls, so we'll see. He said it's 70% Elion with 30% him and Nog, and maybe
that makes you more
Andy,
nervous, doesn't it?
Well, the fact that Tuba's like using his brain at all makes me nervous. Like they gotta leave that to the professionals, not him.
Yeah, exactly. This is immediately giving me shades of Mifflin's episode, because we talked about Oceans, and I'm pretty sure his quote for Oceans was, "That guy's brain doesn't work." was like what
he's talking about Tuba too there.
Was what he said. So yeah, basically pretty similar in that aspect.
Wait, do you remember Tuba's, I can't remember, he was playing a hunter, and it was when the full like bluestone one-shot hunter build was being built, and it was like on Chiron, and I think it was like Chiron Ula or whatever, and Tuba started doing that on Hachiman. Do you remember that?
No.
He started doing the like bluestone Jotun's crusher build on Hachiman, and he was like, dude, it's so OP, it cooks. And they lost like every game, but
yeah,
they lost every game no matter what. So it's not even like you could be like, yo, you were like, the build was not good, and he was the only one doing it. It's not like anyone else is trying it.
No one was like, wait a minute, that seems good. Yeah, like everyone's
this
like,
guy's cooking. Nobody said that.
What is
Nobody said it,
bro? His heavenly banner though, 450 on their dome,
chunking
450 on their head, like no matter what, can't miss it. It's easy cooking.
And that and the alt too, like whew, yeah, that combo potential,
man. I mean, that must have done 1,000 damage between the two
minimum.
Yeah,
minimum.
That and he wasn't missing them, so there's something to be said about consistency. You know what I mean? Like there's something there. Wow, that build is truly horrifying.
It was so bad.
All right, Athenian Sages, the other 2 and 3 team. This is Snatty, Grave, Nehu, Evermed, and Donut Doug. Neon in chat did let us know that the Sages did lose today to the Storm, so we can also discuss them. But not a great start for this roster, but some names that have been around for a long time. What have you seen from the Sages?
Nothing from the Sages has really stuck out to me as like nothing about the team makes me super confident in them. Like with the Wardens, Nog makes me confident. Having a powerful shot color like Elion makes me confident in them. The Sages, it's just 5 players that I think are good players. But nothing about it screams this team has what it takes. And I think a lot of the times in these tournaments you need something like that. I think Doug's fine. I think Evermed's fine. Nehu. Whenever I think of all these players, I'm like, yeah, they're good players. But I just don't have that great feeling about them.
Sure.
No, and it's in their play too. they're just fine.
Yeah, you need to have a player who's gonna push you. That you don't. When you're playing with a guy like Johnny, it just raises the rest of your play because you need to be on his speed.
Yep.
And I don't see who's pushing this team's speed. You know what I mean? I think Snatty's probably their best player. So maybe he can pop off against, guys like Delny, Aqua, Remakami. But yeah, that is definitely a concern potentially for them. And then the Storm, despite only winning one game during the phase, they come in and beat them today. It's Tegvir, Ratmilk, Globe, Happen, and Shinigami. There have been times in the past where Shinigami was thought of as like potentially a pretty appealing new prospect in ADC. That hasn't really panned out, but that's someone who we've seen some flashes from before. I'm typically pretty impressed with Globe. I think he usually plays very well at events. I'm pretty high on Globe. I think Nehu in particular, you talk about Globe versus Nehu. Nehu certainly has been more consistent, but I think Globe has had individual games that have impressed me more than individual games from Nehu that I've seen. So I'm assuming that if the Storm are playing well, it's going to be through this backline.
Yeah, I also think Ratmilk is another player that stuck out to me as he has. I don't want to again, I think a lot of the time people just say stuff and they just try to make it as hyperbolic as possible to make it just sound better. But Ratmilk has been a very consistently good player. And I think a lot of the time, especially when you're a newer face, I think that is a really good start. Yep. So if you combine a jungler that has been just a very good player with a very consistent backline that is hard to deal with, because I do think Globe and Bo Shinigami have very good positioning, and it's very hard to kill both of them. A lot of the times they don't die very much. I think that is a much better recipe for success than what the Sages have with their entire team.
How do you feel about the name Ratmilk? Like as a gamer
It's so
tag?
disgusting. It
It's
actually
bad,
it
right?
annoys me. It's frustrating to even hear it.
Yeah, it's not good. I was talking about this a while ago with someone about how there's something about like finding the right name for you, and how I think it directly correlates with your potential as a pro player. It's why Sam for Soccer is so impressive to me, because it's one of the worst names of all time.
It's so bad.
Sam for Soccer 2, objectively awful as a name, but was at one point the best jungler in the world for a pretty long stretch. So that has always been impressive to me. And it makes me disappointed when players with really good names don't live up to them. Like, this is now going to sound really toxic when I give an example.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it now.
But like, Happen is a good name. Like HAPN, that's a really good name. And if the world was ordered in a way where your name determined your skill, Happen would not be on a 1-in-5 team. You know what I mean? Like that's a top of the SCC level name, in my opinion. You're not picking up what I'm putting down on a Happen?
No, I get it, but it's just like, it is a little toxic, Aggro. You recognize
I'm sorry.
it, right?
No, I know. It's not personal.
It's a banger name.
It's a banging name. I think it should be taken as a compliment that I think he has a really good name. That's all.
So the compliment is, yeah, maybe he's not like the best player in the world, but he's good at making names.
Right. No, that's a skill. Yeah, for sure. I think that's good.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You're on the 1-in-5 team whether or not like you have a good name, right? You might as well be on the 1-in-5 team with a good name in comparison to on the 1-in-5 team with the name Ratmilk, right? Like, we can agree
fair.
that
is fair.
That's better. That's something that like League esports. Again, I only say it because Sam like just has such a terrible name and is such a good player and is also like one of my best friends, so I feel like I can rag on him a little bit here. No, there's no world in which a player with the name Sam for Soccer is winning League Worlds, right? Like, it can't happen. They've got names like Faker and Ruler that are just like unbelievably
Zeus.
good. Yeah, Zeus. Like, those are just clean names. And something would have happened. Some staffer would have forced Sam to change his name if he were a League Pro, right?
Do you know C9's top laner, Fudge?
Yeah, Fudge, yeah.
His name used to be, I think, like Fudge Cakey or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when he made it to like the actual LCS, he changed it to Fudge.
Smart.
So it actually is something like, yeah, your name could be as goofy as possible, but once you hit like that next level, you got to move it up a little bit. Like it's got to go up from rat milk to like even milk. Even milk would cook a lot more than rat milk.
Yeah, rat is good and milk is good. Together, bad. Pick one.
Not good.
Pick a lane, dude. That's what I'm saying to him. Neon in chat asks, is Paul a good name or a bad name? It is a bad name that he has transcended, and now I think it's good. But it's not that good.
Wait, you're trolling.
No, just because it's a short one-word name does not automatically mean it's good.
It's just his name. So you think Nika's a bad name?
No, Nika's a good name.
What's the difference?
Because it's not a common English name that I'm used to, so I'm biased against it. You know, like that's just. I mean, I'm calling a spade a spade. That's all it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It's not rat milk, right? It's not. But if Paul were a middle of the road player, would anyone think that name is cool?
Okay, well,
if Paul was on a 1-5 SCC team, we'd all be like, come up with a name, man.
It's closer to good than it's closer to bad. It's not like top 15 name in Smite.
Sure.
But it is closer to good. Like, would you compare like who's like like Faker is like the top tier
best name of all time. Yeah.
And then Rat Milk is one of the worst names of all time. Yeah. Paul's closer to Faker than it is to Rat Milk.
Yeah, I agree with that. And look, this is a fair message in chat. Okay, aggression. Yeah, aggression was not great. Okay.
That was pretty bad.
But aggro is clean.
Aggro bangs.
Like that's just good, right? And that was shout out to someone stealing the name Aware, it was actually too long for Aware Aggression whenever we joined Aware. I tried to change my gamer tag on Xbox to Aware Aggression. Oh, it was too long.
You had to do that, right?
Yeah, we had to.
Yeah, that was the thing back in the day. You had to change your Xbox gamer tag to join the clan.
I think I told this story before. When we got picked up by Elevate, we knew, obviously, and we couldn't change our names before the announcement went out because everyone would know. Because like on our friends list, people would talk about it. And Elevate was very like adamant, like don't change your name until we've made the announcement. But I told everyone like make sure as soon as it happens that you change your name as fast as possible, particularly for Andy because he was a streamer already. People would do that all that's like.
Yep.
I'm sure you knew someone, Bobby, who at some point like changed a Smurf account to someone's name to troll them because once they have it, it's really hard to get it away. And sure enough, Andy, I forget what he ended up needing to make. Like I think he had the extra O because everything was taken. Like he was asleep when we announced, even though I told him the time it would be. And he didn't change his name in time, and like every variation of Elevate Chapo was taken by the time he did it.
And he also had like a true gamer sleep schedule back in the day.
Yes, it was very
like he was reverse normal sleep schedule. He was the 8 p.m. he would sleep from 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. and then wake up.
But to his credit, I don't really recall him missing scrims ever. I really don't.
Lucky. Yeah. I feel like every team I was ever on struggled to get to scrims on time or at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, we had maybe.
Yeah, you had some pretty bad ones too.
The worst.
We both had Keegs.
Yeah, Keegs was a different animal when it came to missing scrims. No one else was missing games, just him.
Yeah, he was him when it came to missing
he was
scrims.
There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I mean, that's just been look, I definitely was late to some scrims because I was working like 2 jobs and scrimming. So I can have some patience for people who are a little bit late to scrims occasionally. Sleeping through scrims, or if you're an SPL team and this is your only job, being late or waking up directly right before those scrims, I think is a criminal offense.
Dude, that is one of the few things I thought was going to change when I switched from SCL to SPL. because that was a consistent thing in SCL.
Yeah.
It's not any better or worse in SPL. It is the exact same level of.
Yeah.
You will never. Actually, I won't say never. You will rarely start a scrim on time.
Yep.
99% of the time, you're starting at least 5 minutes late, and you just have to live with it. And then sometimes just somebody's not waking up, and you're just gotta scrims.
I just like the thing that I wish I could get into players' minds is that they will be like they're animal brains. Like humans are inherently designed to follow a schedule. Like in our internal, like, we look at dogs and it's like, oh, having a routine for dogs is like good for them, but not for humans, like, or like for babies, like it's really good if you're doing the same thing every time, like in a certain way, like being like having a easy to follow routine. And we're not asking for too much for you to be up for 11 a.m. scrims or something like that. Like if they just really committed to doing it and really caring about it for like 2 weeks, I guarantee they'd all be like, wow, why didn't I do this before? It's so much better. But it's just a lesson you have to learn at some point, right? Like naturally that your body and your mind like want those things. And yeah, I mean, it's the SCL. I have, I understand because that wasn't making enough money for a lot of those players to be their full-time job. And so if you have other responsibilities, you're going to school, whatever it is, that can throw things off. I personally think it is literally inexcusable for SPL players to sleep through scrims or, anything like that. It is a job. You gotta be there,
Wait, two more things quick before we move on.
Yeah, go for it.
One, the worst part is when I was on Obey, scrims didn't start until 1 p.m. and that was still happening. So it wasn't like even in the AM, you had to be up by the PMs and you were still late. And then the second point is the faster you get to scrims, the faster scrims can be done.
Right.
Scrims, you're not scrimming like 5 times if you get there earlier than need to be. Yep. Like if scrims start at 11 and you're there at 10:55 and you're done by the 3rd or 4th scrim, nothing's changing. You get your rest of your day faster, actually.
Yep.
And you get like the stuff done that you need to in the morning. That's why I always try to just get to scrims as early as possible, because the faster we started, the faster we finished. And then I got my day for myself.
Yep.
But yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Were you a scrim liker? Like, did you like scrimming? I would literally look forward to scrims. I'd say 95% of the time. Like, if things weren't going well, whatever, then it was really just if the rest of my schedule was too busy. But I really think I would, even today, really enjoy sitting down and trying to like break the game with the same group of dudes, even if we're losing, like trying to improve as a group in a team environment. I loved. I miss scrimming more than any other part of competing, to be honest with you. I really do.
It depends on the team environment. Some of the team environments are really like that Obey team. We were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But the beginning of that year, the scrims were really fun.
Sure.
And it was really enjoyable to play. And then towards the end, it gets worse. It devolved a little bit.
Sure.
And then same thing with the Scarab team. It devolved a little bit and the scrims weren't too great. But, I mean, there was a good chunk of time where scrims were really enjoyable and I liked doing them.
Yeah. No, I was lucky to play. I never really had, like, a bad environment at any point. Well, I wasn't always that looking forward to aware scrims, I suppose, but...
what was the aware team?
It was me, my boys, Candyman and T-Small, who are like my IRL friends. Love them very much. It was Blackseye, if you remember him. He played. He was always on like the lower end of console, like early console stuff. And Shame was our jungler.
I remember Shame.
Yeah, Shame and I did not get along very well. We had our fair share of disagreements. For sure, we were just very different players.
He liked to win, you liked to not win.
No, it wasn't that. It was he liked to win if he was winning, and I liked to win regardless of how we were winning.
Oh, one of them.
Yeah, a KDA player for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And if anyone has ever like, I don't know. I mean, the number of people who have played competitive with me is very small. I do not
that is like the type of play style that I do not abide by. Like I won't. I played with very few junglers. T Small jungled for a little bit, then we got Shame, and then I played with El Leon, and then I retired. But T Small is the antithesis of a KDA player. That guy is desperate to int at any point, and I love that about him. Andy was desperate to int if he thought he could clip on people, and I love that about him. None of my supports were KDA players ever. Chach didn't know what KDA was, because boy would he have been depressed if he did. And you know, Blacksai was down to get in there as well. Candyman when he played support, like I would never mesh well with any KDA player, just in general, because that's just so opposite of how I wanted to play the game, because I was certainly not a KDA player in any way, except when I finished a game 0-0-0 against Myth and we lost, and I still think about it from time to time. I should have died, you know? There was surely some fight where if I had died, something better could have happened. That's just the way I think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. That just blows my mind that you ever lost to Myth.
Bro, you lost to Myth all the time. What are you talking? You're the one person who can't come in here and say that.
You and Myth say this all the time. Every time I played against Myth on console, I was just smacking him around.
And?
Winning.
You think so?
Yeah, he beat me one time.
Really?
And it was, he beat me one time at season 3. Well, I don't know if he, like, how many, if we played twice in that LAN,
sure.
Then he beat me twice. But
sure.
The LAN that the Kaz esports team had that massive comeback that got us to Worlds. That's the one time that his team was better than mine. And that's because his team was sick and my team, we sucked.
Your team was really
so
bad. Your team
was so bad.
Your team was really bad, bro.
I don't mean I was good and like the rest of my team was bad. I mean all 5 of us together were
except Krim. Krim was good. Krim was good. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
Krim was fine. Krim was a fine player. Krim was a KDA player though.
He was a KDA player, and still is. And that's criminal. I think I literally thought Krim was cheating on your team. Watching him play.
I remember this.
Online. I thought he played using a Zim, you know, the keyboard and mouse like adapter. Because the way he moved is very not like most Xbox players. He moved and he aimed too smoothly.
He was.
And I don't know if you remember, but I literally, you guys got to the studio and your first scrim there, I literally watched you guys scrim from right behind your setup. And I think I was talking to you a little bit. I was talking to some other people, but I was watching Krim the whole time because I wanted to see how comfortable he was on the controller. And he was playing Thoth in that scrim. And I was like, holy crap, this guy is just better. Like, I can't believe he wasn't cheating. He was the best. He was the best mechanical Xbox player I've ever seen.
No, he was. As soon as I started playing with him, like there was levels to it. Like you play with some players and you're like, this guy's a really good player. Like, holy cow, I want to play with like this caliber level player. Mm-hmm. And then you play with like that next level, and it's like, what was I ever thinking? Like this is the new norm. Like Krim, rarely ever when I like took a fight or I engaged on a fight, did I ever think like, oh, if Krim hit this or played this better, would we have won this fight? It was always just like, oh, unfortunate, I got one shot, or just Krim hit everything, he just doesn't do enough damage. It was just crazy how consistent he was.
Yeah, no, he was
on
unreal.
Controller.
Yeah, he was actually like unbelievable. I remember thinking like, man, I got out at the right time because I knew I was never great mechanically, but I thought I was a really good, like, I mean, I was a very good teammate, very good comm, like all that kind of stuff. But Unrelinquished or Delta Marine 72, he was very good mechanically and game knowledge, all that kind of stuff. Paul, I will say my record against Paul, incredibly good, but he was obviously better than me. And then I was watching Baronic and Krim come up, and I was like, it's kind of good I got out, man. I think I would have lost my spot eventually, because those guys were just those two were the new era, of Xbox mid laners, and they were really, really good. It
sucked seeing Baronic on console play as well as he did. I think he had, and he's my boy. I love him, but he had probably one of the worst transitions from console to PC. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
He was so incredible on console, and then on PC, he was just like he was fine, and he's always been like one of the best teammates I've ever played with. But he was not at that next level like a lot of players hit.
Yeah, no, people who only are familiar with Baranik's PC career, he was a transcendent talent on console, for sure. And I agree that it was a shame that he wasn't able to realize that on PC as well. When you were saying, like, you know, you think you have a good player and then you play with that next level and it's like mind shattering, like that's exactly what we experienced. We had a rotating door of ADCs, man. We played with, when I first joined Elevate, it was Puka, then it was Catalyst. I mean, we knew those two weren't it. Yeah, we were winning games with Catalyst ADC. That says a lot. Then we got Zaxi, who's one of my favorite teammates I've ever played with. I love that guy to death. So fun to be around. Don't want to try and win a world championship with that guy as ADC. Like, no
okay, don't say it like he was that bad. He was better than
he was
Puka
good.
and Catalyst.
Without a doubt. When we got Zaxi, I was like, dude, we are set. Like, we can't lose. Like, we got this. Then we played with Keegs, and I was like, oh, like, that is that next level. Right. Zaxi was the, like, solid, not gonna mess you up, like, all that kind of stuff, but was not, like, Keegs was just on a different level of ADC. And I remember being like we tried out Keegs, and me, Andy, and Chach and Uzi talked afterwards, and we were like, I think we're just gonna win. Like, if we play with this guy, we're just gonna win. And we did when he showed up. We were undefeated that phase with our full roster until we literally only lost one game with our full roster that whole phase, and it eliminated us from LAN because we lost some games with me out because Coop changed the bye week. He screwed me over, and I was on vacation, and they played with Sam Bam in mid as our sub. Did you play with Sam Bam at any point or against Sam Bam?
I know the name, but I don't think I ever played against him. Like, maybe I watched him play or something.
Mid laner. It was like him and Matt Coys got replaced by Unri and Miff. Like, when Cougar called in the big guns. He was Eager's mid laner.
I don't think I watched that then.
Yeah, he was. Love that guy. Not it. But Andy was just so tilted playing with him versus playing with me that they tilt lost to that noble team of Xlux and Junipera.
I remember you've told me that before.
Yeah, and I told Andy, I don't care. You could have played with anyone in mid. You should have won that set by yourself, bro. Like, that was your mental. That drove me crazy. And then then Keeg slept through a game against Kingdom. And we literally tried to convince Cooper to let us play with a bot. We said we'd let them pick the bot and put it on easy, or we'll play 4v5. And Coop correctly told us that neither of those were options. But then we lost to the winless. No, we lost game one because it was 2-game sets back then. Keegs woke up in the 15 minutes between forfeiting game one and forfeiting game two and got on. And he joined, and I'm not kidding. We did not say a word the entire game two. None of us talked because we were so mad. We didn't say a single word. We won in less than 20 minutes without saying a single. We didn't talk we did picks and bans, and then I did not say a single word about where I was going, what I was doing. Andy didn't talk. No one talked. We won in less than 20 minutes and logged off.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know how you. Well, okay, I had to deal with him too, but dude, that is so.
It was brutal.
Tilting.
Yeah.
Just listening to it.
Before I got the official offer from Hi-Rez, we kicked him. We said we were gonna play out the rest of the phase, try and make it to LAN. We didn't. We kicked him, and we were trying out ADCs, and literally the day before. I got the job offer from Hi-Rez. We tried out Paul to play ADC for us. And I was like, oh, we're gonna win. Like, we're just gonna pick up Paul. That team's gonna collapse because Paul was their whole team, and Paul is just as good as Keegs. And then I literally remember talking to my then girlfriend at the time, now wife, like, I could take this job offer, but I really think we're the best team if we pick up Paul. And what if I just like stay for the rest of the year, win Worlds, and then go? And then she was like, you are so stupid. And she was right to say that, but we would have won Worlds. For the record, we gifted that year to Miff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think Miff would agree?
No, because I've told him as much and he didn't, but it's fine. All right, before the random question of the week, that's enough Xbox reminiscing. Gotta let you know that this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's the end of the year. The holidays is a very stressful time for many of us. I am definitely very stressed about obliterating my sleep schedule and making the drive to Pittsburgh with the baby and all that kind of stuff. And it's something that has made me very thankful that I have a therapist that I really value and look forward to talking to every week. And that has made it a lot easier to get prepared for this difficult time of year. And we talk about it a lot here on the podcast, but Bear and I are big therapy recommenders. And a reason that we really love BetterHelp is because they take the hard parts of therapy, which are finding the right therapist and finding the right therapist for you, and they make those two things significantly easier, which is really, really good. So we really, really encourage you to go to therapy, period. But if that seems daunting, anything like that, or you just want to make it as easy as possible, which who doesn't, we think BetterHelp is a great way to do it. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, which is absolutely huge. Finding the right therapist for you is the whole point. If you aren't connecting with them, if you aren't vibing with them, switch. It is the right thing to do for you. It's the right thing to do for them. And the fact that BetterHelp lets you do it at any time for no additional charge is a big reason why we are happy to partner with them. So find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/backliners today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/backliners. Big shout out to BetterHelp. All right, let's do our random question of the week here, Bobby. Of course, this is from our community Discord, patreon.com/backliners, the place to go there. Neon asks, is December 26th as close as you can get to Christmas or as far away as you can get to Christmas? It's a good question.
December 26th?
Yeah. Is that as close as you can get to Christmas or as far away? Because it's 364 days away.
Yeah, I consider it far. Once the days pass, like you can't go back in time. You can only look forward. The next Christmas is 364 days away. The farthest.
I think I agree. And most of the time, like, if you were to ask me the closest day to New Year's Day, I'd say obviously say December 31st. And then I think I would say January 2nd. But Christmas is like a different animal. Like, once Christmas is like a lot of build up, at least in my house, like,
oh yeah, no, it is.
It's the most build up by far. And then when it's gone, it's like sad that you don't have that to look forward to for a long time. Whereas New Year's, like, I'm not like, dude, I can't wait for New Year's. Like, that's going to be so fun. Like, or literally any other holiday except for maybe Thanksgiving. So yeah, I'm going to go, it's as far away as you can get from Christmas.
Thanksgiving is the second best holiday, right? You agree?
It's not even close. Yeah.
Bro, anyone that says Halloween is top 2 is lost.
Yeah.
You're lost.
Can't help them. I think it's really like those two, and then maybe like the 4th is the third best.
Yeah, I think the 4th is probably there.
But
I don't love fireworks, which is why I've never been a big lover of the 4th.
Yeah, they're fine or whatever. And it's more just about like getting that break from the normalcy of your day-to-day, that I'm looking forward to it more than any other holiday, probably around the 4th.
And on top of like just getting that time off, Like it's the summer, so a lot of times you go to like water, like a cabin or something, and then you do water activities, and the weather's nice. Yeah, you might be right. Even if fireworks don't be hitting,
nope,
it's for sure got to be the fourth.
Bobby, where do you land on amusement park versus water park? Like some people are like staunchly one or the other. Do you have a?
That's a good question.
Do you have a weigh in here? This is not a random question of the week from the Discord, but just for me.
This is a good one. Even if it's not, it's a good one. I think I would prefer water park over theme park.
Yeah, for me, it is not even close. Water park wins, hands down. Hands down.
The only reason I would say it's close for me is because a lot of the times outside of a theme park, there's more than just rides. There's like the little rip-off activities that you know you're gonna lose, but it's just fun to do anyway.
Right.
That stuff is fun.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking like water park rides or theme park rides, water park solos is not even close.
I love water parks. The only argument against water parks is that they are truly disgusting. Like they are gross places.
Yeah, they are.
Care. I don't care.
Have you ever been to the Dells?
No.
Wisconsin Dells? Okay, because that's like the place to go. Because I'm from the north, so if you live in like the Midwest, yeah, it's an indoor water park.
We had one of those in Erie. Like we'd drive up to Lake Erie.
Oh yeah.
It's called Splash Lagoon. One of the most foul places like of all time, and I love it there. Like I would happily go as an adult.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Time. I think I would rather go. Okay, the one thing that would make me not want to go more now than before is because I'd have to plan everything.
Yeah.
And that was like the greatest thing about being a kid is you didn't have to plan anything. It was just we're going this day through this day.
Yep.
So just get your stuff and we're going. But I think I would enjoy actually being there more now than I would back then.
Yeah. We should just find a water park. There actually is a water park around here, but not indoor. That I haven't been to, that I do want to go to.
Well, they probably have good weather down here 90% of the year, so they can have an outdoor one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why would we do indoor? It's so much more expensive. Okay, Seafog asks, what's the most unique ingredient you've used in a recipe?
This is such a bad question for me.
You're not a cooker?
I'm probably one of the worst cookers ever.
Unlucky. I'm trying to think of like a unique ingredient that we've used that isn't like part of like a meal kit of some kind. Yeah, this one is tough, huh? I don't think I've really used anything that I would consider really unique. I do feel like all of our cooking of Asian recipes really got kicked up a notch when we bought MSG.
That's like cheating, MSG.
It really is. Like that stuff is so tasty, and it's so like it's one of the most I think it's so interesting to just like taste the MSG alone. Like it's such a complex like flavor, and it makes all of our Asian dishes taste so much better. Also, MSG on popcorn bangs. That's really good.
Never tried it.
Yep, that's top tier. I know it's not even close to a unique ingredient though.
Yeah, it's literally probably used
it off Amazon.
It's like salt.
Yeah, it is literally just salt, but better a lot of the time. Yeah, sorry, Seafog. I don't have a really good one for you here. Not that I can.
I literally spent while you were talking. I spent like 2 minutes trying to think of something that I've cooked that was something unique, and it's like eggs.
Yeah, that's actually less unique than MSG.
Probably is.
That's actually you've somehow managed to find a worse answer, which is impressive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
All right, well, Yoma had a little spin-off question. What is the most OP ingredient or spice?
Ooh, that's a good one.
This is a really good question.
Ooh.
MSG is up there for Asian recipes, for sure. I think it might be shallots. Shallots are so good. It's just
shallots are really good.
Like it takes two unbelievable things and combines them. Shallots are just onions plus garlic, basically, right? Like they're unbelievably good. I'm realizing everyone in chat is saying like spices, so I should probably say a spice and not like a normal like food.
Also, salt has got to be cheating. Surely salt is cheating.
Salt's in a different category. Like you just need salt.
You need it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
You need to salt your foods. If you aren't and you aren't doing it for health reasons, start immediately. I've really grown to love black pepper. I used to not like pepper as a kid. Now,
really,
I love pepper. Cooking with, I feel like I can really tell the difference because my wife hates pepper, so she is much more. She's like, Bobby. Well, no, you two are similar though. You're a this mayo is too spicy for me kind of guy, right? You hate spicy things.
Not okay. For 25 years of my life, yes. I would like to think the past year,
you've grown
a little bit.
Okay,
a little bit.
I remember one time that you guys went to Popeyes in LAN.
I knew it was gonna be this one too. It's one that's it's never every time.
Did you get a spicy tender, or was it just their regular tenders that were too spicy for you?
I ordered a regular tender,
and
they gave me the spicy tenders because there was 10 of us there or something like that, and we all ordered it at the same time. So they're not gonna get every order right. But I got the spicy tenders, and I took a bite out of it, and it started to hit a little bit because if you bite into a pepper, just a piece of black pepper, sometimes it'll hit you a little bit.
Oh, it'll crush you.
So I thought I was I think I just bit into a little bit of black pepper. Let me drink some water, take another bite, I'll be good. And it just kept getting hotter and hotter. I started sweating. I'm wiping my brow, trying to live.
I remember coming in. You guys were eating it in the break room of the studio, right? Am I wrong? Or was that a different? I definitely remember coming in, and you and your team were eating something in the break room of the studio, the big area where the ping pong table used to be, and you were legitimately sweating. Your face was full red. You were actually
it's probably
sweating.
Happened before. I can't even say it's never happened before because it has happened multiple times through my life where I am eating something, I realize it's spicy, and then I'm just thinking why am I wet? It feels like I'm swimming right now.
I feel that's not even your fault, right? Your body is having that reaction. You can't stop that.
I'm just trying to chew some food, and my body's freaking out, thinking I'm dying because there's a little bit of capsaicin in it.
Yeah, no, it's true. But she said she is like that. She hates anything spicy, and she thinks black pepper is too spicy if there's too much of it, because she just has had a lot of those experiences where she bites into the piece of pepper, and that is tough for sure. But I'm slamming some black pepper into chicken, ground beef, whatever, whenever I'm cooking it. And it does so much to bring out the flavor. I love pepper.
Yeah. I could eat eggs in the morning every day with just salt and black pepper. And you know how some people do either one shake or if you have this one, they'll do just one twist. I'm sitting there twisting it 6 times and it's partially black along with the white and the yellow. And it is so good. Just eggs with salt and black pepper is just mwah.
Salt and pepper chips. Those are so. Yes. I love salt and pepper chips.
Are they waffle fries? The crispy waffle chips with salt and pepper?
Oh, dude.
So true. So true.
When does Publix close? I'm trying to go and get some of those right after this. That sounds so good. So yeah, pepper's got to be up there. I also love paprika. Paprika is a really good spice.
Paprika's good. I don't know why, but I cannot think of anything that sticks out outside of black pepper and just salt and butter.
Yeah.
It's so OP. It's so simple, but
no, it is. It's there for a reason,
Yeah, it's also probably doesn't help that I don't cook, so I don't know half the stuff that's in the food. I'm just it tastes good.
Yeah, you're wow, this is really good. I've been starting to get more into cooking YouTube again. I've been watching a lot of binging with Babish videos again.
That's what my girlfriend loves.
Cooking seems so fun, and then you have to clean, and it instantly
loses what I'm saying.
All the fun. That's the problem.
I would cook. Actually, that's a lie. I wouldn't cook. I would consider cooking if I didn't have to do the dishes after.
Yeah. And that's why we have Factor meals. Factor.com/backliners50. That's
no dishes.
No dishes. That's huge when it comes to Factor. All right, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Bobby, thank you so much for hopping on. Enjoy your NA SCC this weekend. That is actually also going to do it for Backliners episodes this month. Like I said, I'm driving to Pittsburgh. Barry's spending time with his family.
So I hope you all are enjoying the holidays. I know Hanukkah started a little bit ago, Christmas coming up, all that kind of stuff. Please enjoy your holidays. Be safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And we'll see you in January for our next episode is going to be a Worlds preview episode. Isn't that crazy? That's so crazy to think about. Worlds finals is like a year from today. Or a month. Sorry, a month.
I was going to say, what are we?
Well, it is next year. See you next year, I hate when people do that.
That is I'm getting pissed off just thinking about people who say that.
I'm sorry. Have a great holiday, everyone. We really appreciate you. Be safe, and we'll see you in January to talk about the World Championship preview. Until then, Bobby, you know what? I was thinking about this. You can, okay, that'll do. Okay, that was good. Yeah, you know what? That was good. I was gonna say you could get a little spicy, but then I knew you wouldn't like it, so I think it was solid.